Aryna Sabalenka reacts to Marta Kostyuk refusing to shake hands after Brisbane International Final. Doesn't matter if. Sabalenka registered a dominating 6-4, 6-3 win in the final against Kostyuk to warm up for the Australian Open, where she will be attempting to make her fourth consecutive final in Melbourne. Aryna Sabalenka started the new year on a high as she won the Brisbane International on Sunday to get her first trophy of 2026. She defeated Marta Kostyuk of Ukraine in straight sets in the final to get the title and boost her confidence ahead of the upcoming Australian Open. Apart from Sabalenka's skill, the match also attracted attention because Kostyuk refused to shake hands with the women's world number 1 after the match. Kostyuk has maintained her policy of not shaking hands with Russian or Belarusian players since 2022 due to Russian invasion of Ukraine. The 23-year-old Ukrainian had also adopted the same stance against Russia's Mira Andreeva, whom she defeated in the quarter-final of the tournament. Beyond the handshake, Aryna Sabalenka, silence, and the space between lines. The match ended the way finals often do, with a last ball struck, a crowd rising, and a champion standing alone in the sudden quiet that follows triumph. At the Brisbane International Final, Aryna Sabalenka did what she has done so many times before. She won. Power, precision, persistence. Her tennis spoke in the booming grammar of forehands and serves that refused to be ignored. And then came the moment after the moment. At the net, where ritual lives, Marta Kostyuk did not extend her hand. In tennis, the handshake is a small bridge built after a long battle. It does not erase what happened across the baseline, it simply acknowledges it. When the bridge is not built, everyone notices the river. The cameras caught it as cameras always do. The crowd murmured. Social media inhaled sharply, preparing to exhale judgment. But Sabalenka, holding the trophy's weight in her hands and the expectations of the moment on her shoulders, reacted not with outrage, not with visible offense, but with something quieter, more unsettling in its restraint. It doesn't matter if, she would later suggest, trailing off not in uncertainty but in intention. The rest of the sentence didn't need finishing, because what followed mattered more than the words themselves. The loudness of silence. Aryna Sabalenka has never been mistaken for a quiet presence on court. Her game roars. Her celebrations crack open the air. She plays as if tennis were not just a sport but a declaration. Yet in that moment at the net, her response was almost paradoxical, defined less by sound than by composure. She didn't chase the snub. She didn't dramatize it. She let it pass. And that, perhaps, was the loudest response available. In modern sport, reactions are currency. Athletes are expected not only to perform but to comment, to clarify, to condemn or contextualize in real time. Outrage is easy, restraint is rare. Sabalenka's reaction suggested an understanding that some gestures are not meant to be met head-on. Some are meant to be outgrown. It doesn't matter if someone chooses not to shake hands, her body language seemed to say. The match is already over. The result is already written. Context without captivity. To understand the weight of Kostyuk's refusal is to understand the broader world pressing in on tennis, a sport that often insists on neutrality while its players carry the gravity of real histories and real conflicts. Kostyuk's stance, rooted in her personal and national convictions, was not born in a vacuum. Nor was Sabalenka's response. Yet what made Sabalenka's reaction striking was her refusal to let context become captivity. She did not deny Kostyuk's right to her position, nor did she absorb it as a personal indictment. Instead, she stepped slightly to the side of the moment as if to say, I will not let this define either of us today. In doing so, she reframed the narrative. The story was no longer about a missing handshake, it was about a completed match. About tennis played at the highest level. About a champion who understood that respect does not always arrive in the form you expect. Winning without taking. There is a temptation, when slighted publicly, to reclaim power by responding publicly. Sabalenka declined that temptation. Her reaction suggested a different understanding of power, not as something taken from others, but as something maintained within oneself. She did not demand an apology. She did not issue a rebuke. She did not reduce her victory to a footnote beneath controversy. Instead, she stood in her win fully, without asking the moment to give her anything more. It doesn't matter if there's no handshake, becomes, in this reading, not dismissal but clarity. The win stands. The work stands. The season moves forward. This is not indifference. It is selectivity. The champion's math. Elite athletes live by a particular arithmetic. They count points, games, sets. They learn quickly what adds to their progress and what subtracts from it. Sabalenka's reaction suggested she had already done the calculation. A refused handshake equals 0. A trophy equals everything. Why argue with the math? By choosing not to escalate, she protected the meaning of the final, not just for herself, but for the sport. She allowed space for disagreement without allowing it to metastasize into spectacle. In an era addicted to friction, that choice felt almost radical. The space between rivals. What lingers after the Brisbane final is not anger but space. Space for interpretation. Space for growth. Space for the possibility that, someday, the handshake might return or might not. Sabalenka seemed comfortable with either outcome. That comfort is not apathy, it is maturity. It is the recognition that not every relationship in sport needs resolution to be valid. Some rivalries exist precisely because they are unresolved, because they reflect tensions larger than the court. Sabalenka did not attempt to smooth those tensions away. She simply refused to let them harden her. Doesn't matter if... The unfinished sentence is the point. It doesn't matter if the moment looks awkward on camera. It doesn't matter if people project meaning onto silence. It doesn't matter if respect arrives differently for different people. What matters is how you carry yourself through it. Aryna Sabalenka walked away from the net with the same posture she brought onto the court, upright, unflinching, aware of her own weight in the world. She allowed the absence of a handshake to be just that, an absence, not an injury. In sport, as in life, there are moments when someone refuses to meet you halfway. You can stop there, or you can keep walking. In Brisbane, Sabalenka kept walking, trophy in hand, sentence unfinished, meaning intact.